Hi, my name's Dave Richter, President and CEO of NaviCare Systems. A few years ago, we became aware of significant adverse trends affecting the healthcare industry, both in terms of physical constraints as well as direct labor constraints. Leading consulting firms like the Advisory Board Company and McKinsey & Company suggest that conventional approaches no longer apply. Some are projecting a bed shortage up to 24% by the year 2010. ED overcrowding and diversions are at an all-time high. Staff morale is down. The good news is that simple solutions do exist. Thank you for taking a few minutes to learn about NaviCare solutions and how they might be able to help your healthcare enterprise.
Back when hospitals operated well below capacity and profits were easier, maybe, just maybe, the phone, page, whiteboard system of communications worked well enough to get by. But today, with hospitals nationwide reporting unprecedented inpatient and outpatient volumes, nursing and other critical staff shortages, and average occupancy nearing 100%, this old system falls significantly short. Welcome to the NaviCare Health Enterprise Navigator System. The NaviCare Health Enterprise System is a dynamic yet simple Windows-based capacity management system that integrates seamlessly with existing hospital systems. It collects and communicates information about patient location, procedure, and status in real time and throughout the hospital.
NaviCare has really been part of a bigger tool for us. We call it our air traffic control system, or some are referring to it now as our care traffic control system. NaviCare is part of dispatch and function, where we have staff and information systems, and we're moving towards the future of where we could actually try to predict how many patients and what type of patients we should get in the next hour of the day.
NaviCare solutions install quickly and require little training so that hospital staff can use the tools almost immediately, resulting in a faster return on investment.
It took us very little time to go through the hospital and facilitate the training for NaviCare because it's so simple to use that it wasn't threatening.
And at United we have a diverse population of employees that speak many different languages, and it has not been difficult at all for staff to use NaviCare.
The NaviCare system is also a workflow management tool that enhances the care process by monitoring the required protocol to ensure that the patient moves through processes efficiently. For instance, in OR, busy operating room professionals can determine a patient's status at a glance, thanks to the graphical icons displayed on NaviCare screens called views. The high-resolution color displays located throughout the hospital ensure the quality of the graphics, making the views easy to scan quickly.
NaviCare is a fabulous tool that helps us to identify where our demand is, where our capacity is at any given time on any given day, and be able to help us manage centrally the admissions, discharge, and transfers flow in our hospital anytime.
We use NaviCare a lot to see if the room is ready to go, if the room is set up. Our service associates go to the NaviCare system to see if there's a little red bucket on the screen to say that it is a dirty room.
The NaviCare system interfaces with the hospital's main database and gives the staff instant access to patient information.
Using a system like NaviCare on a day-to-day basis reduces the frustration that staff feel when they have to be on the phone. Charge nurses spending a tremendous amount of time on the telephone, answering questions. Do you have a bed? Is that patient gone yet? So we can at any one time look at the icons and determine who's in which beds, what services they need in order to facilitate the admission, the transfer, or the discharge, and in what stage that process is in.
With the NaviCare system, we've been able to greatly improve our customer service. By knowing where our beds are at, if they're clean, what time they're available, we can give them an immediate answer.
Part of the NaviCare system includes a patient view screen so that in our surgical areas, whether it's in the heart hospital or in surgery, the patient's family can follow the progress of that patient. It makes them feel like they're a part of the process, the part of the plan, and it provides a lot of comfort for them as they're able to watch the timing of all of the events that their family member is going through, and they know where they are at any one time in the process.
At point-of-care locations, simple single-touch keypads update a patient's status throughout the system, so staff can better time their rounds.
Where NaviCare is a great help for us is we know where each patient is along that continuum. We know who's ready to come to the lab, who's not ready to come to the lab. This way, by being able to glance at the screen in a moment's notice, I both know how many cases are scheduled for each cath lab, which physician is responsible for that lab. My manager knows what the staffing needs are going to be for that lab throughout the course of the day. And we also know who's ready and who's not ready to come into the lab.
Regardless of whether the patient arrives from the emergency department or is a direct admit, the nurse or attendant at the patient placement center has direct access to all available bed information.
Basically, we receive all first calls for needing beds for patients on the outside, inside, ER, OR. Anybody who needs a bed, we assign the patient here.
With a quick glance at her NaviCare Control Center monitor, she sees the status of all surgical patients, heart procedure patients, GI lab procedures, and planned and potential patient discharges.
The NaviCare system has actually helped us relieve phone calls, time for patients to be admitted from the doctors. The first call initiation, we can have a room set up like instantly. Doctors love this system, the NaviCare system, because it helps them get their patients in quicker.
Any delays in a procedure or bed turnaround are visible not only to the attendants in the patient placement center, but also for the caregivers within each procedural unit.
It's very unusual for a hospital not to plan beds and hold them for a full load of surgical patients, and we no longer need to do that.
4 years ago when I arrived at United Hospital had the worst diversion rate in the Twin City marketplace. Using the NaviCare system and developing what we've called a care traffic control model, and with NaviCare as our backdrop to that, we've gone from the worst system and the worst hospital in town to the best.
With the use of NaviCare, we can better predict and we can better facilitate admissions to the hospital. We can get patients in, we can keep them and get them out with more efficiency as part of our whole patient flow process appropriately, and have that flow in a dynamic force all day long instead of periodically or shift to shift.
NaviCare helps hospitals maximize their existing resources without incurring additional costs to build rooms or add beds. But hospital resources don't include just the number of beds. Today, one of the most critical resources of any healthcare organization is its staff.
It's very helpful being able to look up at a moment's notice and seeing just what the workload is going to be for the rest of the day. And of course, like many labs, what the day ends up being is nothing what it looks like at 8 o'clock in the morning. Emergencies are coming in, cases are constantly being added. So in between cases, I take a quick glance at the NaviCare system and I can tell if some more patients have been added to my list. It helps me psychologically prepare for how long the day is going to be. And also it also helps me sort of reallocate physician resources to the amount of work that's left to be done.
This was one of the few systems that really provided useful management information to me and helped run United Hospital. It was a very small cost, and therefore it didn't always get the priority in the big projects that it needed. But in my opinion, it's 10 times the value of those big projects, because this kind of information is really essential in today's world of complexity to help you manage.
With NaviCare, healthcare organizations maximize their existing capacity, ensure quality patient care, and establish solid communication channels among nurses, doctors, and other critical staff. The NaviCare Health Enterprise Navigator System. Real control in real time. Delivering breakthrough productivity for the health of your patients and your enterprise.